If you're a leader in a public-facing business or maybe a government organisation, you will be no stranger to complaints. In fact, there's no doubt your team is drowning in them right now. But with a few simple shifts in approach, you can turn even serial complainers into advocates. It doesn't take a lot. These are simple yet profound changes. Take a look. When I first started studying marketing, one of the best definitions I ever heard is that marketing is being best at what the customer values most. I thought that was a really elegant definition. Now, the challenge, of course, is that we can't read people's minds, so we don't always know what people value most. But here's the thing, when people complain to you, your department, your business, they are giving you the gold. They are revealing exactly what's most important to them. So now you can take action. So here's the first shift. Even though a complainer might approach your team with an angry face or with a tone in their email which is perhaps not polite dinner table conversation, I really want to encourage you to look below the surface. What is the value in there? What are they revealing to you that's most important to them? Because once you know that, you can get to work. That's going to immediately alleviate some of their frustration. Now, granted, we are seeing a lot of microaggression right now, and I'm not wanting to excuse poor behaviour, but I also encourage you and your teams not to get too caught up in the surface anger. People are venting their frustration, and unfortunately, sometimes in businesses and organisations, we're the easy target. But let's put this in context. It's actually not you and it's not your team. It's part of a global situation where trust is in freefall. Global data like the Edelman Trust Barometer tells us that trust is very low. Correspondingly, there is a universal rise in grievance. So a large percentage of the population, a large percentage of your customers, clients, the community are walking around angry. They are just hostile, angry at anybody in authority, and that might include you. So try not to take it personally. Instead, encourage your teams to look below the surface. That's your fastest track to finding the gold, because once you know what people really value, now you can help to address their concerns. Now, once you've truly focused on the complainer and really had a deep dive into what are they actually telling you, it's time to think about what your response actually is. And here's where I recommend you focus on two things. The first one is clarity. Right now, people need clarity like never before because they don't know who to believe. Most of us don't know who to trust. We don't know what sources of information to believe. If you can make your information crystal clear, spell it out for them, join the dots, don't use clunky bureaucratic language or make things overly complex, just tell it like it is. Play it with a straight bat. Keep it simple so that it's clear. They don't have to work hard to get the meaning. Because even if they don't like the outcome, even if they're not a great fan of what you're telling them, even if you can't give them what they want, even after they've complained, they'll respect you for being plain, for being clear, for not beating around the bush. So clarity is a must right now. The second element is certainty. We are in a very uncertain world, would you agree? So even a tiny piece of certainty is going to be a gift. So let's say something has gone wrong, somebody has complained, or even better, you're getting in first and telling them information before they complain. Be really certain. Give them as much certainty as you can. Now, you mightn't be able to spell out the whole story because you may not know all the answers, but you can foreshadow what you expect to happen next. Doesn't mean you've got a crystal ball and it's going to be 100% accurate. You can use qualifying language. This is what I expect based on the information I have. But spell out even a tiny part of that staircase. Just illuminate the first step if that's all you can manage. but even that is going to be helping to give them a degree of certainty. So clarity and certainty are the two gifts you can give to any complainer. Those two C's are going to give you two more C's. Confidence in you, and credibility as you interact with people. So do a mini audit of your emails. Listen to your team members as they're interacting with people. Are they being clear, and are they giving a degree of certainty when they communicate? Focus on those two things. That's going to be building trust, and that is a surefire way to accelerate your path to turning complainers into advocates. Clarity and certainty. So we've focused on the person complaining and listened to them genuinely. We've focused on our response, making sure that we're clear and giving certainty. Here's the third shift. It's focusing on you. What's going on inside of you? Or what's going on inside your team members as they're interacting with complainers? Because sometimes we get in the way, don't we? Most of us have got some form of self-doubt or imposter syndrome, or a little voice in our ear reminding us of all the things that we're not good at. This comes out when people complain, and that can cause us to respond in a way that's not overly helpful. Perhaps we get angry with the person, or we feel emotionally triggered in some way. When I first started working with really senior leaders, I used to think that once you became a leader at a very high level, you didn't have self-doubt anymore. You didn't have imposter syndrome. I quickly learned that's not the case. Of course, senior leaders doubt themselves like the rest of us. But what I have learned is that the really amazing leaders, people who are outstanding under pressure, what they do is they're able to put their personal feelings aside. They're able to put their self-doubts, their distractions just to one side so that they're fully present for the time it takes to deal with the issue in front of them. Whether that's a difficult phone call, a tricky meeting, or even a public presentation. So you can take that and apply that as well. So check in with yourself. How are you feeling when somebody's complaining, or when you open their email and you're tempted to just give it right back to them? Stop and take a breath. Just check in with what you're feeling. One of the best ways to do this is to really focus on what's the data here. Now, the data is that somebody's emailed you with some information that they're not happy about something, or somebody's on the phone and they're not happy about something that's happened. That's data. That's actually happening. Everything else really is how you respond to that. It's the story you tell yourself about that data. It's the meaning you give it. And what can tend to happen is we get the complaint, and now thoughts and feelings arise within ourselves that start to raise the heat. And now we're thinking something negative about that person. We're thinking negatively about the situation. That's fueling further thoughts, feelings, emotions, and that can lead to behavior that doesn't get us a good outcome. Much safer to go back down and focus on, okay, what's objectively the data in front of me? Stay calm. Focus on the data, the reality of what's in front of you. Focus on the facts rather than the story you're telling yourself about the facts. So those are the three key shifts, the three steps in any situation, especially when you're under pressure, when you've had a complaint. Best way, of course, is to head the complaint off at the pass, to actually get on the front foot and communicate before it even becomes a complaint. But if it has become a complaint, do these three things. Focus on them first. What's really going on for the complainer and their world? What do I need to listen for? What's the gold beneath this angry face? Then focus on your content. How am I going to respond? How do I make sure that I'm as clear and certain as possible? Even if the news is negative, play it with a straight bat. And thirdly, what's going on inside me in fielding that complaint? Check in and make sure that you're staying objective, you're staying calm, and you're dealing with the facts, not the story you're telling yourself about the facts. It's entirely possible to turn even your most serious complainers into raving fans if you and your team are willing to shift your approach. And that can build long-lasting trust. Sometimes people who've come from a negative base and you've won them over can be your biggest cheerleaders, and they can go on to spread that trust and build a positive reputation for you because of the way you've responded to their complaint. Complaints rarely go away of their own accord. I can't tell you how many times I've been called into organisations to help them manage a so-called crisis, and I've immediately seen that this isn't a crisis. This is actually a complaint that grew up into a big angry problem because it was never recognised, it was never addressed, it was never managed properly. So don't fall into that category. Address complaints early and win your complainers over so that they are your biggest raving fans. Reach out to me if I can help build on that framework for you and give your team some concrete tips that they can apply every day. I'll see you next time.